Oh. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's virtual session. I am Megan Branham with Family Connection of South Carolina, and today's session is How To Tuesday, SSI Eligibility Application and Appeal Process. We've got a great group today. We've got a full hour planned for you, and I am gonna get things started here in just a minute. Just before I turn it over to Amber, if everyone will mute their microphones, and if you have questions at any point as we go through, Amber will be taking them as we go, so feel free to put them in the chat, and then she'll get to them as part of her presentation. So if you are not familiar with Family Connection of South Carolina, our work is focused on supporting families and caregivers of children with special health care needs and disabilities. This is one of our many virtual trainings that we offer just to provide more information about services and resources that may be a benefit to your family. Certainly, you may have additional questions after today's session, and we'll provide you with where you can go to get those answers. And like I said, if at any point you have questions or comments, go ahead and drop those in the chat. At this time, I'm going to introduce Amber Lydford. She is going to walk us through and kind of give us an overview of SSI, some of the ins and outs, answer your questions. I'll let her tell a little bit about her background. She's just a wealth of knowledge and resource, and I know we go to her very often to help us navigate our own questions and get answers. So Amber, thanks so much for joining us, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I can't even say happy Monday, hump day, or happy Friday. It's kind of like the second day of the week. Work week at least. I hope everybody's enjoying their day. I was talking with Megan. It was like more of definitely a lunch and learn kind of opportunity here. Very informal. I didn't want to kind of throw y'all into a presentation or a PowerPoint or anything along those lines. As I was talking with her a little bit, I know there's a lot of general questions, inquiries. I know I've got a slew of different participants on here today between parents, agencies, organizations, guardians. So a little bit about myself. Again, my name is Amber, and I am a benefits specialist here with Vocational Rehabilitation. I have been doing this job now for about 9.5 years. I am originally from upstate New York, born and raised. I actually moved here in April of 2014. I was offered the job, and my background, ironically, is mental health. So I have 2 master's degrees in industrial and organizational psychology and a master's in mental health. And I came to South Carolina because upstate New York in 2013, as we know, DSM-5 changed, and it went from the field of mental health to the field of social work. So here I have 6 figures in student loans, and I look all over the place for opportunities to gain licensure. And every agency I contacted back home said, well, we can offer you a volunteer opportunity, but you don't have the credentials for social work. And I said, it's the same thing, it's just a different title. Therefore, of course, the Lord led me here, and I initially came here to get my license in professional counseling. But Jeremiah 29:11, his plan is far better than mine. I haven't turned back. Actually, licensure is not in my forte. I absolutely love what I do. I have 3 children with disabilities and challenges. And I even said to my supervisor, I said, my goal was to get my license. He said, a lot of people start here, and we can absolutely work your way up there if that's what you want to do. But needless to say, I assist individuals who currently receive Social Security Disability or SSI learn how they can work and maintain the benefits they receive, along with Medicaid and Medicare, housing, food stamps, and so much more. Again, I didn't think I'd fall in love with what I do. but I see the excitement, the joy between parents, organizations, agencies, individuals themselves that are still coming to me 9.5 years later. And I get just as excited with them as they do themselves when they get offered a job, when they see their benefits stay the same, or they see that they're now eligible for an SSDI check because they got working history and they're no longer having to rely on SSI. They realize that they can make a lot more money and keep their Medicaid, and their medical benefits are not going to be affected. Parents that I'm able to work with that put their mind at ease that their child turning 18 may still actually be eligible for benefits off that parent's work record because of disability. Working with individuals on the disability adult report, functional report, learning the Social Security language and verbiage, what to say, what not to say, and so much more. So I briefly mentioned I had 3 children with disabilities. All 3 actually have autism. I know it's very unheard of to have multiple children with autism. My youngest is 12, and she scored on the ADOS, but did not meet DSM-5 criteria. We all know, possibly all of us know, that females can have different symptoms and characteristics of ASD compared to males. She is also a child with hearing loss, so she only hears out of one ear. Also high ADHD and anxiety. And so we had her tested through an organization, and they said, well, she scored on the ADOS, but she's too social. She provides eye contact. She does XYZ. So she's not actually a child with autism. Okay. It's okay. I mean, we still learn how to work with her. We talk with mental health. My middle child, who is currently at Charleston Southern, was diagnosed 7 years late. We got his diagnosis actually down here in South Carolina after 7 years of a misdiagnosis. Disruptive mood dysregulation disorder, bipolar, ADHD, anxiety, oppositional defiance disorder, everything under the sun. And finally, just it was right after, of course, everything changed. It went from Asperger's to ASD. Again, the DSM-5 changed. And we realized he's a highly gifted child. And we realized what gifted meant. But because it took so long to get him the proper diagnosis as a mom, we went 7 years with no supports, no services, no therapies outside of the general mental health counseling. We're grateful that he's actually at a really good college, and he chose, and I'm telling you guys this personally because I'm sure that there's people on here who may be able to relate, and I want y'all to know I'm just as much human as you are, and I'm a parent myself. But 3, almost 4 weeks ago, he's got this newfound freedom. He's on campus, and he decided to take himself off of his medication. We were hoping that that would be a good thing, and it actually has turned out to be a very big learning experience. And I just continue to say, pray up. I pray up every day, y'all, because we're seeing, as parents, we don't want to see our children fail. That's the hardest thing to see. And I'm seeing my son hit that rock bottom, and it hurts. But we have to tell them, hey, we're here for you, and just continue to guide them. So, and my oldest got an autism diagnosis late last year. He's 21, but also some other mental health. So I feel like the Lord has led me here for a reason, because I can be that walking testimony as a mom, a human, and somebody who can provide that support and guidance to other people who are challenged in certain areas as a parent, a caregiver, a support person, a case manager, in those ways to really encourage our young adults, our youth, our adults, that a disability, just something that's on a piece of paper, doesn't define who they are. It just helps us as professionals learn how to work with them. Us as parents learn how to get them those supports and those services. So one of the biggest things I do want to ask is, let's start in this chat. Somebody tell me, what is it you're looking for out of today? What kind of questions can I answer today?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, I'm Vicki, and we have an adopted daughter. We've had her for 9 years, and we just got diagnosed that she has 3. She has Tourette's, an intellectual disability, mild, and ADHD. We just got that last year. So we've had a journey that's been challenging, but now we have some relief in knowing that we might get as far as life skills, but we're still hoping for academic success. We homeschooled, and we are Christians, so our faith has been our life support. I do have the application, so what I'm looking for is to fill it out correctly so that if we can receive support, we would like to do a lot more therapies than what we can financially support. Is that enough?
Wonderful question. Yes. Miss Vicki, how old is your daughter?
She is physically 12. We've had her for 9 years, so she thinks she's 9 because that's what we've given her as a grace age to fit her intellectual, everything about her is younger than biological.
Okay. And are we currently receiving Tephra Medicaid by any chance? Have we applied for Tephra?
No, nothing. That's what I have. I have the Tephra application.
Okay. So that is something that I am not, Megan, that's going to be you.
Yes, I was going to say we can provide some assistance with applying for Tephra, just walking through the application. We will, and I'm going to drop our my contact information and then also our 1-800 number in the chat too. If you have questions like related to Tephra or anything else from today's session that we may not be able to get to, but we can schedule a time to connect you with one member of our healthcare team to walk through that process of applying.
Great, thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
And I do want us to go ahead and jump on, Miss Vicki, that under the age of 18, and this may be questions in the chat, and thank you all so much for dropping those questions, and I'll get to them in just a moment. Under the age of 18, Social Security does look at parental income to determine eligibility for SSI. SSI stands for Supplemental Security Income. It is technically the welfare cash benefit of Social Security because it is income-based. It's a needs-based benefit. It's there for food and shelter. So, Vicki, if you and Dad are working or have income, it could potentially affect her eligibility for SSI. However, again, that's what Tephra Medicaid is for. So I'm also going to jump into this next segment or next piece of information. You have 6 years before you really have to worry too much about this, Miss Vicki, but I know that there's also some other people that may be on here who may apply to this now. Under the age of 18, again, Tephra Medicaid if parental income is too high. At the age of 18, actually the month after the individual turns 18, parental income no longer counts. Therefore, application for SSI can occur in the month the child turns 18. Okay, so what I recommend as far as applying for SSI, let's say you have, I think I saw in the chat, somebody was turning 18 or just turned 18 and was looking at the, how to apply for, yeah, my son is about to turn 18. He has SSI and I'm terrified on how he is going to do transitioning to adult SSI. All right, so whoever home is, I'm going to go ahead and talk about that as I talk about this. First and foremost, you got to contact your local Social Security office. Do not, for the life of me, do not call 1-800-772-1213. Do not, capital NOT. You're going to go to ssa.gov. You're going to, let me see if I can share this screen real quick. I can. Share. All right, y'all. Can everybody see this? Vicki, I see you in the corner. Can you see this?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Those of you that need to contact the local Social Security office, I know that we are talking to many people throughout the entire state. So I'm going to show you how to find your local Social Security office and not call that ridiculous number that's going to have you on hold for ungodly amounts of hours. You're going to scroll down here, find an office. So ssa.gov, scroll down, find an office. You're then going to locate an office by zip code. Type in your zip code. I live in Manning, so type in your zip code, hit locate, and it's going to tell you the phone number, the fax number, office hours, and where your local office is located. Okay, so ssa.gov, scroll down to locate an office or find an office. Locate by zip code, type in your zip code. There you go. Stop share. Okay. Now, once you've done that, you're going to contact the local Social Security office. You're going to go through the prompts, press 0 to get to a representative. And all you're going to do is say, I'm calling to schedule an appointment to apply my son, daughter, grandson, granddaughter, niece, nephew, whoever, for SSI. That's all you're going to say. They will likely schedule you a phone appointment. Now, eligibility occurs as long as the disability is expected to last 12 months or longer and or result in death. For those with a mental health disability, Vicki, I'm going to just keep using you, girl, just because you were the first one that spoke up. You mentioned your daughter has an intellectual delay. So those like with autism, mental health disabilities, I always let the individual know or encourage the individual to get a most recent psych eval, because if you have a family doctor, if you are working with mental health, if you have a clinician or a psychiatrist, psychologist that you're currently already working with that knows your child, you're better off doing it that direction because they know them compared to somebody that Social Security may send you to. Okay. And that way you have a most recent psych eval that shows IQ levels and challenges that otherwise match up, quote unquote, to what it is that you're indicating that your now young adult child has. Under the age of 18, they can become eligible for SSI if they meet the child definition of disability, and that is functional limitations. So under the age of 18, they look at how does your disability, your child's disability, affect their ability to function age appropriately. Above the age of 18, they were looking at how does their disability not only affect their, how does their disability affect their ability to work gainful activity above the age of 18? So they're looking at work, and how does it affect their ability to function? All right, so above the age of 18, they're looking at functional limitations and work limitations. Now, another side note, I'm actually in the process of applying my daughter for Tephra. We applied back in 2016 and were denied. She had severe sleep apnea. She was having 21 arousals an hour. She, again, severe ADHD. This was before we got any other diagnoses, the hearing loss. And we were told because she has one good ear, and because we could put her in front of a tablet or a TV and she'd watch a show, well, yeah, she'd watch something that she's interested in. But if you have her on YouTube or any other thing, she's going to keep clicking on different videos. She's not going to sit and watch an entire one. I actually lost at the hearing level, and I never fought it after that because she was still eligible for regular Medicaid, and she does receive CRS services, Children Rehabilitation Support Services. However, we have now reached the age of 12, and puberty hit, and it brought about mood disorders, and her IQ actually dropped. It went from like an 82 to a 79 in 2.5 to 3 years. As parents, one of the hardest things for us to do is that disability child report. As parents, one of the hardest things for us to do is the disability adult report when we're filling it out on our now young adult child, because it's very hard to talk about their challenges. It can be very hard to talk about their limitations, because one of the biggest things we want to talk about is everything that they're progressing in and all of the things that they're being successful at. And we want to look at all these positives. And one of the things that I tell my parents when they bring their now 18 or 19-year-old into the office and we're going over the age 18 redetermination, maybe the child's already receiving SSI and is now going through redetermination to see, do they meet the disability criteria as an adult? And I have to let this now 18 or 19-year-old know what I'm about to tell your mom or dad or guardian. Don't think I'm speaking negatively about you, because I now have to look at that parent and say, one of the biggest things you have to do is write out a day in that child's life. As if me as the disability examiner am listening to an audio tape of whatever it is that you put on this paper or this audio tape. I'm sitting in the back, like my back against the chair, and I'm closing my eyes and I'm walking myself through a day in your life, a day in your shoes, because I have to be able to envision the challenges you have with that individual from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed. You're telling me These are key points. 1, it takes 10 prompts to get them out of bed in the morning. I have to write things down for them to be able to complete their tasks or chores. I have to remind them on personal hygiene and personal grooming at 19 or 20 years of age. They need help with reading or writing. They can't tie their shoes. Like, you got to literally walk Social Security examiners, disability examiners, a day in your life to show them that while this 18 or 19-year-old may be able to do some kind of work, they're not going to be able to do gainful activity because of these challenges, these reasons. That's what gets them approved for SSI as an adult. So for home, I don't know who that is, but it says, my son is about to turn 18. He has SSI, and you're terrified of how he is going to do transitioning to adult SSI. There is no transitioning, sweetheart, none. It's basically the transitioning is disability under 18 looks at functional limitations. Disability above the age of 18 looks at workability, work limitations, along with functional limitations. Also, the amount that they may be eligible for could be different. So under the age of 18, again, parental income, they may be getting a reduced amount because parents have income or maybe child support. Above the age of 18, if the individual is able to pay their fair share of expenses, they may be eligible for the full federal benefit rate of $914 for 2023. If during application, they are found not to be paying their fair share of expenses, then Social Security's half booty backwards, and they automatically reduce it down to $609. Again, it's all based on the wording. When should I apply if my child's will age out of Tephra next year? Sorry, I'm just going through these questions, y'all. Once you do apply, if your child's going to age out of Tephra next year, I would apply again. If they're already 18, go ahead and get on that phone, get that appointment scheduled. If they're not yet 18, technically the month prior to or the month they turn 18, go ahead and get on that phone, schedule that appointment, and start absolutely journaling a day in my life, talking about the challenges your child has from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed. Custodial grandma of autistic, don't have disability insurance or an IEP on support. Samson, I'm not sure who this is, sweetheart, but it says custodial grandma. Who is that?
Oh,
Are we still on, Samson? Ah, there you are. Hey, I see you. Oh, you just muted yourself again. Hey, there you are. Hey.
yes.
All right. How old?
Actually adopt both of my grandsons.
How old are they?
5 and 6. The 5-year-old's autistic. They just took his IEP away. They said he was fine in school. We got to get behavior calendars with. He's not listening. He's not doing this. And I have a 6-year-old that has severe anxiety and ADHD.
Okay, so here's a big question. You said that you just adopted them?
I'm trying to. We're still waiting to adopt. The mother's getting notified and we're going for it.
Okay. In the meantime, no Tephra Medicaid right now?
I have Medicaid for them, but that's it.
Okay. You may be able to connect with Tephra or with Family Connections, and they may be able to absolutely get you some supports and guidance. One thing I will also go ahead and let you know, as other individuals on here may know this, and Vicki, I didn't think to ask you this, but when you adopt, like as a grandparent, or if you adopt and you are an individual who's receiving Social Security yourself, your now adopted grandchild or child can actually receive benefits off your retirement. It's under, and that there's no application for that. It's just letting Social Security know, hey, I'm receiving retirement or I'm receiving disability. I have a minor child, a dependent child, and do they qualify for benefits off of my work record? Under the age of 18, that's a guaranteed, no disability required. It's a guaranteed benefit. It's a dependent benefit. Now, in order for them to continue that benefit off of your work record above the age of 18, they do need to prove disability. I'm going to share my screen again. Here's how we prove disability at the age of 18 or older. All right. Social Security Blue Book Adult or Social Security Adult Blue Book listings. I'm going to talk appeals for a second because I know that this is part of it. Part of the questions or part of the Lunch and Learn or How to Tuesdays was asking about appeals. I understand, and I've experienced this in my 9 years of doing this job myself, that denials happen. They absolutely happen. And a lot of times the denials can happen because there's not enough information provided on the disability child report or the function report or the disability adult report. That day in my life, describe what you do from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. There is not enough evidence. There's not enough support. If you're putting down, describe what you do from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, if you're only indicating, you know, they wake up, they take a shower, they make their breakfast, they watch TV, but you're not giving descriptions in between each of those tasks, then of course Social Security is going to say, well, then there's nothing wrong. There's no challenges. They can absolutely go to work. But how do you prove they meet the criteria? I want to scroll down here to mental disorders. So again, SSA adult Blue Book listings. They also have SSA child Blue Book listings for those under the age of 18. So any parents, guardians on here who have children under the age of 18 that are looking to see, do I meet SSI criteria for a child? I have no income. My income's very low. I don't handle the parent to child deeming calculation because it varies, especially depending on household size. So, but if you're looking to see if they medically meet the criteria, you can go to SSA child Blue Book listings to look for the children. Adults, however, I'm going to click on mental disorders because I know that it seems like that's a common thing at the moment that I'm hearing from 2 people so far. So there's different categories under mental disorders. You've got the neurocognitive, the schizophrenia, the depressive bipolar, intellectual disorder, anxiety obsessive. I want to scroll down here to autism spectrum. So they have to, these are under the autism spectrum disorder. They have to, of course, medically meet these and have an extreme limitation, one of these. This right here, section B, is the most important one because it talks about the areas of mental functioning. Y'all, Social Security legit gives you examples in these areas of mental function. I'm going to keep scrolling here for a second. Yeah, there's obviously a lot to, actually, I'm going to go back. Understand, remember, and applying information. If I click on this, they actually, it's here on like the 3rd line. Do y'all see where it says examples include? They're actually spelling out for you what they're looking for in these areas of mental functioning to determine if your now young adult meets the criteria. So under the mental area functioning of understanding, remembering, or applying information, this area, it refers to the abilities to learn, recall, and use information to perform work activities. So for example, can the individual understand and learn terms, instructions, procedures, follow 1 or 2 step oral instructions to carry out a task? Can they describe their work activity to somebody else? So as you're going through this specific area of mental functioning and you're looking at that day in my life and you're trying to describe your young adult child to Social Security or to the disability examiner, you can absolutely say, my child struggles with understanding, remembering, or applying information, or Joe Smith struggles with this. He's unable to describe his work activity to other people. He's unable to, and use their examples. It's right here. That verbiage is likely going to help you get approved for Social Security because you're using Social Security's own language against them, right? You're using their book, you're using their Bible against them.
Amber, I just want to say that is really helpful. When you shared that the other day, that there are those examples right there, I think that to me was something new that I hadn't really thought about. And like we talked about, it's, you know, it's the day-to-day stuff that is so, as parents, as caregivers, we're doing it. But it's hard to actually sit down and describe or, you know, kind of explain what things look like on a daily basis. And so to have an examples to look at, I think is really helpful. So I know for me, that was really helpful. And I'm seeing some folks in the chat saying, thank you. That's helpful as well. Just to know that is there. And I did put both of the links in for the adult and the child in the chat. So as we're going through, folks can click on and just look through themselves.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Because the other thing, like interacting with others, we know that a lot of those folks, a lot of our individuals who have challenges in the mental health realm, their ability to interact with others can be tough, right? So the ability to get along with others and handle conflict and this is exactly right, where example include cooperating with others, asking for help when needed. We absolutely know that a lot of times they're not going to ask for help. They're either going to try to do it themselves or they're going to just avoid it altogether. They don't handle constructive criticism very well. Sally, you actually missed a spot on that dish. I need you to go back through and rewash it. And they're probably going to want to throw that dish at you, right? I know I've experienced that one too many times in my life with my kiddos, just because it's their disability, yes, but we learn how to cope with it. We learn how to work with it, right? Concentrating, persisting, or maintaining their pace. Examples include initiating and performing a task that they understand and know how to do, being able to work at an appropriate and consistent pace. Do they complete a task in a timely manner? Let's go back on the example of the dishes. If there's 5 dishes in the sink, it shouldn't take them more than 10 or 15 minutes at the most to complete those 5 dishes. But is it taking them 30 to 45 minutes because they're just wanting to play in the water and, they're getting off focus, they're not concentrated, they're not on task, they have to be constantly redirected? Those are the examples you got to put in here. Okay. And the last one, being able to adapt or manage themselves. This really regulates around their emotions, their behaviors, and also their personal hygiene. So, if they need multiple reminders on grooming, personal hygiene, even checking after they've used the shower or bathroom to make sure that they've thoroughly washed, those need to be put in that day-to-day life. Okay. All right, so I'm going to stop that one. Okay, so in terms, Ms. Sampson, with your 5 and 6-year-old, I would absolutely definitely connect back with Family Connections. There are some amazing supports out there. I would also recommend that you look into Disabilities Special Needs Services. And if not already connected with mental health in your area, definitely connect with mental health. They could possibly guide you into some additional community resources as well to get you that help that you need, because again, at 5 and 6, this is where the brains are really starting to form, and the remembering the information that they learn and so forth. This is a crucial age too, because now they're reaching that adolescent age. And
sit down.
Oh, somebody's not muted.
The 5-year-old, I have a war every morning to just go to school. So it's like he's afraid of school. He doesn't like school.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend getting connected with mental health in your area. I know one of the supportive services that we have in Clarendon County that I'm actually getting ready to get my daughter involved in is wraparound behavior modification supports. And I believe they may start as young as a 5 and 6-year-old, because a lot of it's behavior modification. And us as parents and caregivers and guardians, we can only do so much. And even now, like my 18, almost 19-year-old, it's like they've heard, we sound like a broken record to our kids and young adults a lot. And so maybe getting that guidance and support from somebody that is different and new in the home, it gives you that sense of peace as well. And I also would recommend reaching out to, I know through Tephra, they get likely applied for or approved for Tephra, but one of the other services and supports, especially through like DSN, is community long-term care. There is a CLTC waiver for children. My daughter was on it, and they do provide they provide supports for like personal care assistance to come in as well. But definitely start with mental health and start with Family Connections.
But they're not number 2 potty trained. They're number 1, and it's really, I get diapers through Medicaid, but
yeah. So I would definitely, if they're not already through DSN and have a case manager, I would absolutely, when we're done with this training, connect with Family Connections and connect with mental health in your area and see what other supportive services you can get. But when they do turn 18, it's a good possibility that they would qualify for SSI on that.
And Amber, I was just going to add for folks that if we've got your email when you registered, we'll send a follow-up email after this. And so in that email, we'll have listing and links to the stuff that we've talked about today so that you can look through that. And it sounds like definitely that's something that we can assist your family with, kind of talking through, like Amber said, identification of where those supports and resources are and how to get you connected. So I will say, Amber, one of the things as I was looking through, and y'all, thank you so much for putting your comments in. There are some questions specifically about, disability type, and I think you've kind of covered that just in terms of eligibility, and looking what's listed online for adults and for children as well. Another thing that I was seeing was folks are asking about what to really do when they're preparing for, applying. Some of them have appointments coming up, questions about who needs to fill out what forms, what sort of information do they really, or even they're just starting the process and they don't really know what information do I need to start gathering. So I've seen a few of those come through. I don't know if you have any thoughts or suggestions about that, just in terms of like what to start gathering and preparing.
Yep, absolutely. So Ms. Nicole, I do see your question here. I would like to gain more knowledge in preparation for my daughter's SDI appointment on September 25th. Nicole, are you still on?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. And how old is your daughter?
So she turned 18 May. I filled out the application. It was the wrong one. So now on the 25th, they're going to call me. I guess I'm going to reapply for the correct application because she didn't have work.
Did you fill it out online or did you fill it out online?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm so glad that I asked that question. You asked that question because here's another thing, y'all. Stay away from online if you can. Here's why. Here's why. When you apply online, you're likely going to apply for the wrong application. And it's common. A lot of people think SSDI, I'm applying for a disability benefit. Well, SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance. Okay. The biggest difference with both benefits is the I's at the end. SSDI, insurance, SSI, income. SSDI is because somebody's paid into that benefit, whether it's you yourself or the parent. But if you haven't paid in, you don't have a working history, then likely you're going to look at the SSI. If you call in and schedule an appointment, Social Security is already going to apply you for a dual application. They're going to apply you for both SSI and SSDI with that phone appointment. Okay, or that in-person appointment. But doing it online, Nicole, you're not alone. I have a lot of people that they do it online. They think it's faster, then it just sits there. And then you have to stop sometimes because you get distracted, and then you have to go back online to complete the paperwork and the documentation. But yeah, if you all are able to, I would absolutely recommend staying away from the online application. Just contact your local office, get on the phone, and schedule an appointment for either a phone appointment or an in-person. To prepare for that appointment, my biggest suggestion would be to gather all doctors' names, phone numbers, and addresses that your child has seen in the last 12 months, their previous appointment, the most recent appointment, their next appointment, any medications they're taking. If they are still currently in school, make sure you have a copy of their IEP, a most recent psych eval if they have a psych eval. If not, absolutely get one. And then just writing out as best as you possibly can or typing it up. Key points, go back to that SSA Adult Blue Book listings. Click on the category that best fits your young adult child now. If it's mental health, click on the mental disorders. If it's neurological, click on the neurological. If it's something else, click on the other category and scroll down. Look at those areas of mental functioning. Look at what Social Security is looking at as far as criteria. Also, big key point for mainly SSI folks, make sure your child has a bank account and you or the father, whoever is going to be the rep payee, is on that account with them. The sooner you get the bank account set up and established, the sooner, once approved for benefits, they'll start seeing that check come in. I've had many people, I actually just talked with somebody this morning who is waiting on their Social Security benefits to be released because they don't have a bank account with the rep payee on it yet. So they had to establish the bank account with the rep payee on it. So the sooner you get that at least set up, and you don't have to have any money in it, but you at least have to have the account routing number and so forth to be able to provide Social Security so they know where to send the check. Okay.
Question for you. So my daughter had a psych eval 3 years ago, but she has one coming up next year, April. You know how that goes. You're always scheduled way out. Do I provide that eval that's 3 years ago to them?
You can try.
Okay.
I would also let them know that she does have an upcoming appointment And I'll also, I don't like being the bearer of bad news, but I'm going to let you all know, if you don't already know, Social Security is behind on claims.
Okay.
So COVID, of course, put a lot of us behind. I say us because we're a whole generation, not a generation, excuse me, a whole community, all of us, all right? Doesn't matter who we are, parents, whoever. Social Security's behind. Everybody's behind. And however, here's another key point. When you call to apply, keyword, key phrase, key statement, I want to note today as my protected filing date.
Really?
Here's why. Let's say you call today, September 12th, and they can't get you an appointment until November. Guess when they're going back?
To the date.
The day you called.
So if she got denied the first time, I can't use that date that I applied for.
That's a great question. I would ask the Social Security rep, because it's a good possibility she got denied because it was the wrong application, right? So it wouldn't hurt to ask. The worst they're going to tell you is no. That's the biggest thing I've heard in my entire 30-something years of being alive. The worst they're going to say is no, right? But I want to schedule today as my protected filing date. Okay. And that way, by the time they are approved for benefits, they are going back and they'll back pay.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Hi, my name is Yolanda.
Hey.
And hi, and mine is a little bit different. My son, he went in at the age of 18, along with me, because they said that he had to sign documents. Well, when he signed the documents, they told him because he's 18, he can choose whether I'm going to be on his benefits or not. Well, he chose that he wanted his own credit card. So he ended up taking.
Oh my, what's the diagnosis?
ADD, OA, wait a minute. He's over, what is OAHD, I think it is. It's like over the top. He also has asthma and allergies, and he was on the spectrum of autism.
Okay. So is he an SSI?
At that time, I believe that's what it was. They have denied, yeah.
So he's not getting benefits now?
No, ma'am, and we've been trying to get him back on, but he's gotten discouraged now. So, and he can't work. He'll work for 3 or 4 days and realize the building might not have windows or something like that in it. And he quits and he says, I'm going to need a car to go to work. I said, well, you can't get a car unless you go to work. So I've been trying. So it's no help now. So he still have all these issues. I applied for it, but he said they're not going to help him. He's not going to sign that paper. And I can't get him settled down to even get the benefits.
Okay. So are you working with mental health?
We were with mental health, but once I got tired, I got exhausted. So now I'm trying to get the help again. I applied for him in May.
What
and
county
the
are you
lady
in?
said, as a York County.
York County? Okay. There is, through mental health, here's another good piece of information for y'all to know this. Our mental health offices, if you have an 18-year-old or older that's in mental health services, a lot of our offices have benefits coordinators who do assist also with disability applications, Social Security applications. When you were only mentioning initially the ADHD and ADD, when the DSM-5 changed, so did Social Security's rules. They used to approve adults with ADD and ADHD. They stopped. They don't approve for only ADHD and ADD anymore. But with comorbid effects like the autism or the Asperger's, it sounds like some high anxiety. Here's another thing here's why I asked about mental health. When you are applying the individual for disability benefits because of a mental health diagnosis, if the individual is not receiving mental health services or on medication, because let's face it, sometimes we can receive just counseling, supportive services, and don't really need to be on meds sometimes, right? They will deny. They will deny if you're not seeking treatment for your medical condition. Okay, I get it a lot of times. I don't have insurance. What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to get the help? How am I supposed to see a doctor? I don't have, and the biggest reason why is insurance and or income. Well, a lot of times, again, you're not going to be eligible for Medicaid above the age of 18 unless you're an individual with a disability. Here's another here's a Medicaid thing, y'all. You will not get Medicaid in the state of South Carolina above the age of 18 unless you have a disability or low-income family, meaning that you are married with a child or you're a single individual with a child. Just how it is. So above the age of 18, 19 if you're aging out of Tephra, Medicaid does not occur unless there's a disability attached. Okay, so I would definitely, one, reach out to mental health, Miss Yolanda, get those supportive services back. Okay, trust me, I get it. Exhausting. I've been there, done that, sang that tune, wore that t-shirt. Okay, it is very exhausting, very, very exhausting. But at the end of the day, for your own mental health, it is worth it. Okay, multiple trips back and forth. I understand. I've got 3 of them. Okay, I get it. But when you're looking for that extra assistance, especially from the Social Security piece, you've got to prove the treatment that's going along with it. And that even with treatment, he still struggles with employment. He still struggles with daily functioning. He still struggles with his day-to-day activities. Okay. So start there, check to see, I believe, because I know in Clarendon County, the lady that is our benefits coordinator, we call her Ty, I think she may cover Rock Hill. I don't know. But I would ask the mental health office up there if they have a benefits coordinator on staff that can help you with a Social Security application as well.
Okay.
He's got to be a client first. Okay.
Okay.
All right, let's see. I'm just scrolling through some notes or some questions. Okay. So Miss Sherry, Michael, are you still on here?
I am.
Okay. Hey. All right.
Hey.
So just daughter turning 18 in December. Okay. I just got to ask side note, when in December?
The 11th.
Okay. I have a 4th and a 31st. So
Okay.
Christmas is not, December is like our expensive month, of course.
Yeah.
All right. So you've never applied for SSI, turning 18, trying to understand the process. Did I answer most of your questions?
Most of them. Yes.
Okay.
We've got, well, this is going to make you laugh. I believe we have Tephra, but I applied during the time when COVID was happening. She came up for waiver services that I honestly had forgotten I had applied for. I think we were 6 years out before we got them, and we didn't have Medicaid at the time. I applied. She has Medicaid coverage for those waiver services. So I'm kind of looking at all of that at this point. What do I need to do with her Medicaid? What do I need to do with her SSI? Gets a little more complicated in that we've been homeschooling her for 5 years. So I don't have the psych evals. I don't have an IEP, those sort of things. And so we've really not been reaching out for services. Now, her primary disability is cerebral palsy. She actually, when she was in school, she fell under multiple disabilities. She has an intellectual disability. Her IQ's in the 70s. She has a seizure disorder. She has some speech impairment. She has some physical limitations because of her cerebral palsy. So they ended up putting that under the header of multiple disabilities.
Yes. And so it sounds like she would absolutely meet the criteria. A lot of it's just making sure you're indicating, doctor's appointments, those challenges, going back to those areas of mental functioning, limitations, because even if she doesn't have, well, you already indicated she has an intellectual delay, but let's say she was an individual with only CP, she's still going to struggle to maintain a substantial gainful activity type of employment without supports and accommodations and or trainings like coming through vocational rehabilitation, right? So have you already you haven't scheduled the appointment yet. It's only September. I would call, what county are you in?
I am in Lancaster.
Okay, so we have a lot of up north or upstate ones. All right, so yeah, it would be what, Rock Hill then?
Probably, yes.
Okay, so definitely just contact the local Social Security office up there. I would say end of October, beginning of November. And because they book out more than likely, even though it's a small office, small area, I would still call like the very beginning of November, end of October, beginning of November, and just say, I need to schedule an appointment for my daughter. She's turning 18 in December to apply her for SSI.
Okay.
Now, are you, I didn't fully get, are you or dad receiving benefits at all?
No.
Okay, all right.
No.
So the other big benefit to y'all in getting the young adult children under the age of 22 applied for SSI or applied for benefits now and or indicating disability occurred before the age of 22 is that when you do reach retirement age or have forbid a disability or deceased and you have a working history, that now adult child can draw that benefit off your work record because the disability occurred before the age of 22. And I know we're not talking generally work and benefits today. And Megan, I would love to, I know we're kind of hitting the end of the hour. I would love to do another segment on work and benefits because there's a lot of great reasons why to go to work, even if you're receiving Social Security benefits, whether it's SSI or SSDI. Even as students, up until the age they turn 22, up until the month they turn 22, if they're still in school and they're getting SSI, they can work up to a certain amount a month and not affect the SSI check at all. So there's a lot of great benefits to working while receiving benefits. And I would love to do a how-to Tuesday with that one as well. But in the meantime, Ms. Sherry, beginning of November, definitely contact Rock Hill.
I will do that. Interestingly enough, we adopted our daughter as well. So she is our granddaughter.
Okay.
My husband and I will both qualify for Social Security here soon. And we have been having that debate. Does one of us go ahead and take that? So I would love for you to do that seminar as well. So
yes.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Write that down so we can get that, see about getting that scheduled to do another session. That's great. And I know the time is flying by and we're coming to the end of the hour. I did want to, there was a question about resources and I think it was in relation to maybe owning a car. So I don't know if you have any specifics to share about that or where
I can, yes, because that's everybody's biggest concern when getting SSI or Medicaid is, as we all know, there's a $2,000 asset and resource limit. I do want to go ahead and pop on and say palmettoable.com is a fantastic it's a Able Savings account or the Palmetto Able Savings account for those that are on Medicaid. You're wanting to save some money. This is generally, it works more so for people above the age of 18. If you do not already have a special needs trust established, I would absolutely look into palmettoable.com. Individuals can save up money in that account. It does not affect their Medicaid. It does not hide income. So if they are already receiving SSI and they work, the SSI check is still going to go down. But again, that savings account protects Medicaid. Okay. The individuals are allowed to own one vehicle. They are allowed to own a home as long as they are the ones living in the home and they're not renting it out for profit. Okay. If they have more than one car in their name, the value of the second vehicle is counted as the resource. All right. So they can absolutely have one vehicle in their name. And again, they can own a home. And I think that's pretty much it. Life insurance, burial plots, things of that nature. A lot of times that depends on, well, really the life insurance depends on how it's worded. Technically speaking, we think life insurance is paid out when we're dead and gone. We can't pull from life insurance. 401ks, that's one that I come across a lot with my SSI folks. 401ks are tough because you can pull and you can borrow from that 401k, even if you have to pay it back, you can borrow from it. So it can be counted as a resource. Okay. Roth IRAs, those things that can be counted. I'm just reading some questions here, y'all. All right. So Schuler, last name, I think is Shuler. Son just turned 18, afraid to apply for SSI because they're afraid that he'll say no. Again, the worst they're going to say is no. My biggest thing is, first and foremost, no, your income's not going to count because he's 18 now. I would definitely reach out to the local Social Security office, depending on your son's disability. Go back to that adult Blue Book listings, look back at that criteria, contact your local Social Security office, get them applied, write down all those challenges and struggles.
I
All right,
have a
Miss
question.
Hey, Beverly, yes, what's up?
Yes. So if the person is over 18 and they do have a home and they do have a car, and their SSI is through disability, it's a DI, I think that's what it is. With that, and they wanted to go back to work part-time, could they?
So they're getting the check on the 3rd,
Yes.
different resource limit, $9,000,
Okay.
because they are likely getting, now they're not on any waiver or anything, right?
No, ma'am.
Okay, it's like the ABD Medicaid, age-finder disabled Medicaid. If their disability cash benefits are less than $1,200 a month in earnings, then they're getting age-finder disabled Medicaid. They can have up to $9,000 in assets and resources, not 2.
Okay, and that's a year. Okay.
What county are you in?
More Union County.
Union? Are you connected with the vocational rehabilitation up there?
No, ma'am.
Is it something that you guys would be interested in?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I would definitely reach out to the your local, I keep saying Social Security, vocational rehabilitation department. So anybody, we have a transition team here as well with Voc Rehab. So we work with a lot of children, young teenagers, starting typically at 15 or 16. We have transition counselors in the high schools as well. And all of our offices, we are a fully staffed team now, have benefit specialists that do exactly what I do. We assist individuals in understanding how working affects the cash benefits they're receiving, what benefits you may be entitled to. We've had folks who get SSI and didn't even realize that they were eligible for SSDI. Or I had an individual on Friday who was receiving SSI and he's at early retirement age and has the working history, but didn't realize he qualified for early retirement, and I guided him on that, and now he's going to get early retirement, and the rules are completely different. So anybody on here who has a child age 15 or 16 or older, and they're wanting to do some kind of work, do not hesitate to reach out to your local vocational rehabilitation department. Go ahead and get scheduled. We can talk with y'all as benefit specialists before your case is even opened with a VR counselor. If you're wanting just guidance on what's going to happen to that benefit that they are currently receiving, or hey, I've applied for benefits, can they still look for work? Can they still work? We can absolutely guide you. So Ms. Beverly, I will go ahead and tell you some good news. Your child can make $1,400 a month in gross wages and maintain Medicaid, Medicare, and disability cash benefits. So I'm going to save the rest of that for the next segment, y'all.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so trying to scroll through the last of these messages. I know lunch hour is about up for everybody.
Well, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Audrey. I have a foster child, and he just turned 2 years old, and I'm trying to get Tephra for him, applying for that, and I don't even know where to begin.
That would be Miss Megan.
Yep. So you can contact you can contact Family Connection. I'll drop it in the chat again. But there's our 1-800 number is 1-800-578-8750. And you can just let us know you're looking to apply for Tephra. We've got the application on our website, and we can work through it with you. Absolutely.
Can you say that number again?
Sure. It's 1-800 578 8750.
Okay.
Thank you. So yes, absolutely.
Hey, Amber, I have a question.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Go for it.
I have an 18-year-old on the spectrum that graduated, and now he's at Midlands Tech. I'm his PCA for Midlands Tech, so I'm unable to work, and I'm working on the application. I don't have a psychiatrist because he had one, but he was stable with meds, and so they released him to the pediatrician, and now we're struggling, and now I need a psychiatrist again, but I can't find one. Can the pediatrician write the like a letter about his functioning to take to that appointment for SSI?
That's a great question. I'm going to say no, because it's not a psychiatrist. What's going to end up happening is Social Security will actually just go ahead and send you to one of theirs. So you're in the application process right now with him?
Yeah, I filled it out online, which now I know it was a mistake. Thank you. And so I got a paper that said that I needed to send some information back, which it doesn't say what information to send back.
Okay. Do you have the Columbia office's number? I can give it to
Yes.
you. 866-964-7594.
Yep.
I cover the Richland area. I cover Midlands.
Okay.
So anybody in the Columbia area, you'd get me.
Okay.
Anybody in the Midlands. So yeah, definitely reach back out to them. Send back what you can for sure. Biggest other piece of information, y'all, is anytime you're sending anything back to any organization, any agency, Medicaid, Social Security, always make copies and always send it certified. If you don't send it in person, if you fax it, always make sure you're getting a fax confirmation sheet back. I believe in paper trail with Social Security to the T.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Mercedes, go ahead.
Yeah, that's great advice. I know we're at time. Was there enough? But I thought maybe there was one more question you were looking at, Amber. That
Yeah, Mercedes had said something about son turned 18 in January. Mercedes, are you still on here? I think I see your name.
Yes, I am.
Okay, so I think I answered your question, girl, about he was denied the SSI because it was online. What county are you in?
This is I'm sorry, I'm kind of new to South Carolina. This is Horry County here.
Horry, so that's the beach. Okay. Yeah, I don't know that one, but Miss Loretta Love, she covers the beach. She's the benefit specialist up in that area. So I would definitely reach out to do that office locator like I showed y'all in the beginning. Find out your local office's phone number. And
I have an appointment scheduled for next month.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. And then I would just indicate, hey, can we go back to the date I initially applied online? I didn't realize I applied for the wrong benefit. Can we utilize that as the protected filing date?
I already asked them that when they called to make the appointment with me, and they said that it depends. The day that I have the appointment, I have to say it again. So
I hate those two words. It depends. I really hate those two words.
So my question now is there anything I should not say, anything I should say or not say? I mean, my son has cognitive delay, he's cognitively impaired. He's got hearing loss, no hearing in one ear. Like he's got a lot of things. I know he's eligible.
Yeah, no, the biggest thing, and I should have said this earlier because I know we've had to have several hop off because of lunch hours and getting back to work. But the biggest thing when going through the application process, should Social Security ask about living expenses, you can totally tell them, my son or daughter or grandchild, he's borrowing or she's borrowing, $450 a month. It depends on how many are in the home. Will depend on also your rent, mortgage. Like with SSI, again, they're looking at, are they paying their fair share of expenses or are they not contributing towards household expenses? Okay, so depending on that will depend on, are they going to get the full 914 or are they going to only get the 609? I wouldn't stress too much about it because I would, but I wouldn't, but because $300 is $300, right? However, it's not about what you shouldn't say. You definitely want to be upfront and honest. I've had a lot of parents, I myself have shed so many tears on the phone talking about those struggles and those challenges, because as I was talking with Megan yesterday, as parents with children with challenges, we know of these resources, we know of supports, we know of things that can help them, but at the same time, just one day, we would love to be that person that's in their shoes, that can see the world through their eyes. So we know how much better we can help them, right? Unfortunately, we can't do that. So all we can continue to do is do the best we've been doing. And Mercedes, I would absolutely, just write down those struggles, those challenges, follow that adult blue book listings that I provided you guys, and go through those areas of mental functioning. So that way you'll be able to provide those examples if they come up.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I do have a question. Well, kind of quickly. I know it's time to go. Thank you.
Okay, Mary.
I have two grandsons. They are both disabled. They are both receiving SSI. Two issues with them. They're different issues. The 18-year-old just had his exam through SSI. They determined he's no longer eligible. He is autistic. But I understand when he's in high school, he is under an IEP, that he would qualify under Section 301.
If he would go rehab? Oh, wait, no, yeah. Section 301 protection, even if he's not in VR because he's in school in IEP, you're right.
Yeah. And so I went to the SSA office here in Columbia, and they said to me, you need to go to DDS, you need to go to Voc Rehab. We don't know what you're talking about. So I sent a letter that my grandson signed to the director of the SSA office in Columbia. I haven't heard back to say that, yes, I understand he qualifies. So I'm hoping to hear back that his benefits do not get cut off. That's what I'm waiting on there. I don't know if I need to do anything else with that. The second issue I have is with my 13-year-old disabled child. He is due a big sum of money and back pay. And this has been determined back in, I think, early summer. I have been to the office once or twice since then to try to get an update on when is that first installment going to take place. And I'm getting kind of the runaround. I'm not getting anything, any real knowledge from them or any insight as to when this back pay is going to be provided to him. So I just kind of wanted to know if you had any insight on either one of those two things.
First and foremost, I love it whenever parents or guardians or other individuals already know about Section 301 because it is highly unheard of. So kudos to you. You are correct. Well, I can't say Social Security is correct. DDS should have indicated Section 301 protection. Section 301 protection, absolutely, like you indicated, he is an individual with an IEP and or they're participating in vocational rehabilitation, have signed their IPE, individualized plan for employment, and is working towards goals to go to work, right? The other thing that I discovered and found out you can do is you can appeal the decision while under Section 301. You can absolutely file an appeal. And I would, Miss Mary, go back to that adult blue book listings to fight your case. When you're appealing a decision, because Section 301 doesn't automatically mean continuation of benefits indefinitely. It just while they're in school with an IEP and or in Voc Rehab participating in services with an IPE, right? So you still want to appeal the decision. But your case, do the best you can to still fight it on your own with your 18-year-old. If you absolutely want legal representation, it doesn't hurt to contact legal services. But go back to that adult blue book listings. You got that criteria there. You got those examples here. You got a way to fight that case. According to Section 12.00 in adult blue book listings, this is, you're indicating criteria is met based on XYZ. And, Jay Wilcox, whatever your son's name is, appears to meet that criteria because he struggles with XYZ. Okay. One of the things I talked with Megan about too is, of course, being a mom with children with autism, we're very familiar with the term masking, right? A lot of times our kids are going to mask when they're out in the community, when they're out in school, when they're out in other places. So that third party is not always going to see those behaviors or experience those challenges like we do here at home, right? So it's really still laying out that foundation and that walk in your daily life on paper, and again, still utilizing their own verbiage, their own document to prove that. Okay. As far as the 13-year-old, I kind of chuckled a little bit when you said that you contacted the director because we don't have any success either. I'm not sure what it is with the Columbia office, but I am one that will call, and if I don't like the answer I got the first time, I will literally call back. They open their phone lines at 9 o'clock in the morning. Call at 9:02. Call at 9:02. Go through the prompts. Press 0. Explain the situation. Supposed to have back pay. Can you tell me what's going on with this? When am I supposed to expect it? And prayerfully, you'll get through to somebody.
Okay. I did indicate in the letter of my grandson that the letter he signed indicated that I do intend to appeal the decision once I secure legal representation or adequately legal representation. So thank you for this.
Absolutely. Tracy Witt, I just wanted to reach out real quick. I don't know if you're still on here. I see your name. Yep. Okay. Fantastic. So, and a lot of times we get this here at Voc Rehab, the examiner through Voc Rehab. You're going to see vocational rehabilitation on any documentation y'all receive from DDS, Disability Determination Services, because we are a state agency and they are kind of an umbrella under Voc Rehab, but they're not actually Voc Rehab. So that is common. That's the common thing that I was explaining earlier, that if they don't have a current psychological evaluation on file or on record with medical records, that yes, the examiner through DDS, Disability Determination Services, is going to send them through their own psych eval. You could possibly still set up your own, absolutely, but it's not that they're trying to disapprove him. And trust me, I understand that completely, again, as a mom, We went through that with my daughter when we were trying to apply for Tephra, and I thought, well, again, we're meeting with somebody who's going to be biased, who doesn't really know her, who maybe got her on her good day, right? We have good days and bad days. So if you already have a connection, go for it.
So here's what's happened. We had been trying to apply for voc rehab. We had a problem where the person who was assigned my children's case did not submit their applications. We had to apply 3 times. So we finally got through and had all this paperwork coming in. I had been out of state, came back, and there was this thing from voc rehab, and I'm thinking, okay, why am I filling out another application? But whatever, I'll fill this out really quickly and send it in. I did not realize it was the determination for his medical for Social Security. The examiner is then placed him in for a psychological. After hearing your seminar here today, my question for you is, do I now need to go through that listing of criteria and detail this out and submit it to the examiner, even though that form has already been submitted?
I wouldn't submit it again, but I would have it on hand in case of a denial.
Okay.
Because again, the psychological evaluation is going to really pinpoint out the IQ, the challenges, and whether or not your child could do any kind of work, because that's the big key point that I found in a lot of denials is, well, we're not saying that he's not disabled, but he can do some kind of work. Okay. Well, and that's where you have to then unfortunately go in and say, I understand, however, he may be able to do work with supports, with a job coach, with accommodations. Like, he's going to still need XYZ. It's not like he can just go out and apply for a job and get it tomorrow.
Correct.
He's going to need guidance. He's going to need coaching. He's going to need assistance.
So
right?
Will I be present for the psychological evaluation, even though Cole is now 18?
You'll probably be in the waiting room. I couldn't be in there.
So they're not going to ask me any questions then?
The examiner, the psychologist, they might. I don't know. I mean, it's been a while since I've gone through one, but I would just have documentation on hand. I would absolutely just have it on hand.
Okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt. My daughter just did it recently, and they asked me first all those 90,000 questions, and they asked me to step out of the room and be alone with her. And I actually was concerning because I didn't know what kind of test or kind of question they're going to tell her. And she most of the time don't make sense. And I was scared, and I keep busting the door and say, are you okay? Are you okay? But yeah, everything was fine. They just asked a bunch of questions and put some puzzles in front of her and to see how far she can go.
No, that's great information, Sabrina. Thank you for sharing that for the other parents on here. So it sounds like when going through a psych eval, especially if sent by Social Security, then the psychologist is going to pull in the parent first, ask questions first, and then pull the child in, well, now the young adult child, and then go through the series of tests and questions, and then provide back their feedback to Social Security, the disability examiner. It could take a couple of weeks, of course, but thank you, Sabrina, for jumping in on that.
Amber, I really appreciate your time and all the questions. I know we've got another Zoom starting here in just a few minutes, so we'll have to wrap up for today. But I just wanted to let everyone know that Amber did put her email in the chat. There were questions about best way to reach you. And like I said, I will follow in the presentation today. We'll send the links with Amber's contact. So if there was something that we didn't get to today, I'm already making notes about our next session to schedule. We'll put that on our, see about getting that out, putting that on our training calendar so y'all can take a look at that. But like I said, if there was something that Amber, we just weren't able to get to, or something else came up immediately after you got off, which is always how it feels for me, you know how to reach Amber at her email or Family Connection, and we'll point you in the right direction. So I just want to say, Amber, thank you so much. This was amazing, great information. So appreciate you sharing your knowledge and resources and your experiences. And thanks to everyone for your great questions and sharing just your own suggestions and kind of from your own experience. It's really helpful and reassuring to hear. So thanks, Amber. We will, we'll send out email. So if there's anything else you want us to know, we'll connect after, but we will go ahead and wrap up today's training. And thank y'all for being on.
Thank you, everybody. See you on the next one.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.